And we are live. Welcome everyone to the very first GDG Academy webinar with our amazing guest, Raphael. Hello, Raphael.
Hey man, glad to be here again.
Yeah, nice. So we are very excited to hosting this once again, very first webinar for the Academy. Is the first time that we actually run a webinar. So let's hope everything is working as expected. So, Raphael, if you don't mind, can you just real quick introduce yourself to the people that are watching?
Sure. So Raphael here. I work in software engineering for the last 17 years, more or less. Currently working at Zendesk as a director of engineering. Also working my side gig as a career and leadership mentor. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's it. I really love helping people and sharing this knowledge.
Nice, brilliant. So I think that you are more than worthy to run this workshop, which is of course aimed towards the students, more junior people. So uncover your next tech job. Very
Oh
interesting.
yeah, let's do this.
So without further ado, let's go into presentation mode and yeah, take it away.
Okay, thank you, man. Thank you. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us in the session. And as Stefano mentioned here, today we will discuss a hot topic, not only for the tech community but overall, which is how can you get closer to the job that you are really deserving. Regardless of your seniority, regardless of the situation, what is actually necessary for you to give one step and get closer to this job? And that's the topic that we will address today. But before we start, I must ask you something, because some of the techniques, some of the insights that we will share here might defy the traditional perspective that we have in terms of hiring processes and how we should frame our profile or our candidate profile. So my ask here is, for the next 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, you keep your mind open. And at the end of the session, if you decide that, okay, this guy, it's completely nonsense, this is completely okay. But I ask you, for the next 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, that you keep your mind open and bear with me, okay? If you have any questions throughout the presentation, just drop us a message on the comment and we will jump in and ensure that we provide the right answers here for you. So before we start, I have prepared a set of resources for you. So if you are getting right now, just click on probably Stefano will share the deck with you as well, but if you have your smartphone near you, just scan the QR code. This will redirect you to a Notion page where we have a bunch of resources that we will be discussing in this class today. Okay? Don't worry if you miss this one now. Throughout the presentation, this QR code will be live for you once again. So what we have planned for today is to discuss a little bit the problem and the challenge that we have when we talk about hiring process overall, in our case for sure, when it touches the tech community itself. Then we will progress on how you can build a CV that stands out for hiring managers, for tech recruiters, that really makes you a memorable candidate. How can you grab this attention from your CV? The third topic here, it will be moving from the CV to your LinkedIn. I like to say that your LinkedIn is it's the new CV. It's your personal brand. It's how you are seen in the web. It's the easiest way to find your professional profile in the internet. It's LinkedIn, and we will discuss a few nuances around that. And to conclude the seminar for today, we will discuss a bit of some common interview steps that we have along the way. Some of those steps are not applicable for your current situation as an intern or as a junior software engineer. However, we decided to bring this for you so you can create awareness and also to start like creating this sense of preparation for what is actually expecting you moving forward. Okay, so let's do this. The first, before we enter on the first topic, like I briefly introduced myself at the beginning, but I am working for the last decade as a hiring manager. I have hired talents for many companies, like last year in specific, a bunch of candidates, hundreds of CVs, hundreds of interviews. And between 2023 and 2024, I scaled Zendesk's teams in 27 engineers, which was just insane, like super time consuming. You can imagine the number of hours, the number of people we engaged in this process to hire 27 professionals in 1 year. And beginning of this year, given all the stress that I was having, I decided that I had to find some escape valve. And then I did a sabbatical leave. And then I had the opportunity to dedicate a lot of effort to my passion, which is mentoring tech professionals, in specific, those looking for a career promotion or their next step or to get career clarity and etc. And in total, in the last 6 months, I have coached more than 30 professionals, all of them in this field of career, of especially transitioning from one job to another, but a bunch of other people as well giving their first step. And things just became quite interesting because one pattern arose from this. All of the mentees that I had, they shared the same issue, exactly the same challenge, exactly the same frustration. Or they never heard back from recruiters. Guess what? Or they get ghosted after an interview step. Imagine like that tech recruiter that sent you tons of messages during the process, all of a sudden hides from you. You know, you don't hear anything else from this person, any update. And when you get an update, guess what? An automatic rejection email. Super, super frustrating. But this is the most common scenario that we are facing in the tech industry right now. And many times we just cannot understand what the hell is happening, why people just don't care, or why is it so difficult to send a tailored feedback or to share how things are going in the process or something like that, right? We usually, due to our frustration, due to our anger, due to our needs, our unmet needs, maybe we are having financial challenges or personal challenges, and we just cannot understand why is it so difficult for companies. Give me a little bit of attention, give me a little bit of respect sharing those things. But I will share something that not that changed my mind, but helped me to create a little bit more of empathy for tech recruiters and also to other processes itself. Let's get back to 2000, beginning 2024, between 23 and 24. As I mentioned to you, I have opened 28 positions. I have hired 27. Basically, all the transactions that we created and all the movements that we had came from LinkedIn. We had referrals, but the majority of the traffic, the majority of the candidates came from LinkedIn. And when we were analyzing the statistics around this, surprisingly, we came with an average of more than 200 candidates per application, more than 200 applications per position that we have opened, which is just a lot. Just a lot. And from these more than 200 applications that we had per position, this generated for my team and for myself hundreds of interviews. Now, if you are among hundreds of candidates and you are in a process where we have that amount of people competing with us, because we can put this as a competition, it's extremely hard to tailor feedback. It's extremely hard for one tech recruiter to provide all the follow-ups in a proactive way and etc. For instance, here at Zendesk, we had one talent acquisition person handling basically the 28 positions. 28 times 200, we have a beautiful number here for one person to triage, to get in contact with these candidates, to ensure that the process is moving, and etc. From the operational standpoint, this is too much. And the thing is, the competition is insane. If you are applying for one position today, you have two options. Or you are just a regular candidate, or you need to stand out from the crowd, you know. But how actually can you do this? Let me provide a very maybe simplistic comparison here. I like to say that hiring is similar to sales. How many of you got a call from a call center from someone trying to sell you a service that you actually don't need? You know, like a credit card or a better internet plan or something like that. And how many of times did you end up buying the service? And here is the analogy, because what salespeople want to do is to answer your objections. Maybe they will bring stuff for you that you actually don't know that you need them. But when this person is answering for your objections, you realize that, oh, damn, yeah, maybe a little bit more of speed in my internet plan would be nice, you know? And you end up buying this service because they answered your objections. And in the hiring process, this is quite similar. However, the objections are quite different. When a tech recruiter or a hiring manager are looking for your profile, basically they have three main objections. The first one, why should I spend time on you? Why are you so special? You know, I have 200 candidates on my queue. Why should I spend my time on you? The second one, okay, I decided that maybe I will take a look on your CV, but how should I evaluate you? How do you want to be seen when I open your CV and I read your skills, I read your experiences? What can you tell me? How should I evaluate you? And the last objection, probably one of the most important ones, is why? What is impressive about you? What's the value that you are bringing to the table? And basically, this is the most powerful objections trifecta. Why should I spend time on you? How should I evaluate you? And I have 200 in my queue. So what is impressive about you? But the thing is, the tricky part happens when we start analyzing the time frame that all this decision-making process happens in the recruiter's mind. We have a study provided by the Harvard Business School that, in average, someone evaluating a CV will spend at most 20 seconds evaluating if you will be chosen for a first contact or you will be dismissed. So you have 20 seconds to answer these three objections and change their mind. You need to get the call. But being even more conservative, we are talking about 20 seconds in total. And I must tell you, if we have hiring managers here, if we have tech recruiters here, they can share their experience with us as well. But as soon as we open a CV, I can tell you if I will proceed with reading the entire CV or what actually it is from my interest in your CV in the first 5 seconds. So you need to ensure that you are delivering a good impression. I like to make the analogy here as those games, especially those race games, where you have checkpoints. So the first checkpoint, it's the first impression. You have 5 seconds. Okay, let me see if I have some objections answered here. Okay, nice, I got it. So the next checkpoint, 5 more seconds, 5 more seconds, 5 more seconds, and then I make a decision. So your idea, your goal here is to deliver as much impact, is as much great impression as possible in the in the less time as you can. So 20 seconds. Imagine that this is a tic-tac bomb. You have 20 seconds. If you don't deliver what you need to deliver to get the first call in 20 seconds or less, you are falling behind. Okay.
Just to say a little thing about that, I totally agree on this point. I just don't want the people to understand that they need to put as many things as possible, because sometimes the outcome is the complete opposite. You find CVs completely crammed with a very small font. That is a no. So the CD has to be readable. So you need to be clever with that, not just adding stuff. Add the right stuff and make it readable, make it beautiful.
That's it. That's it. And we will have one dedicated section of this presentation just to focus on exactly what Stefano is mentioned here, because every tiny detail that you can deliver, that can make you stand out from the crowd, it counts. Okay. So that's probably the first traditional mindset that we need to break, because sometimes we spend too much time discussing like number of pages and what kind of information I should put there. So bear with us that we will get there. But for now, take a note, take a pen, write somewhere, paste this where you can always see. You have 20 seconds to ensure that you are my person. You have 20 seconds to change my mind and answer the objections in a way that I say, okay, that's the person that I need to call. That's the person that I want to call. Okay, 20 seconds. Write this down. But this is quite challenging, right? How the hell can I deliver that amount of information and cause that level of impact in 20 seconds? But the answer is pretty interesting. I would say straightforward, but it's not that much straightforward. You need to stand out. If you deliver a resume that it's just another resume, you need to learn how to deal with your frustrations. Okay, so the main goal from this webinar today is to provide you some insights and from some strategies that you buy a interesting yellow thing here, and in the middle of a crowd, you are seen. you become memorable. Okay. And the way that we will do this is creating a hire me profile. And a hire me profile, it's not just a resume, it's not just a CV. The CV is just the first step. But you need a compelling CV followed by a very good LinkedIn profile to create visibility, to create exposure. And here we have probably the trickier aspect of the hiring process, which is application tracking systems. For those who don't know what is an application tracking systems, from now on ATS, in a nutshell, basically whenever you are applying for a position, we have a system responsible for managing all the applications for a given role. Okay, basically it's a candidate center for companies. The problem, it's because, as I mentioned before, we have too many people applying for the same role, and we have even less people working on talent acquisition teams to review all the applications, to provide all the detailed feedback, and etc. And the ATSs are coming to fill this gap, especially with the advent of AI. So basically, imagine that you are now sending a CV, and this CV, the ATS will search for some relevant keywords in your CV, and maybe depending on the system, they can evaluate you using AI, score you, and without any human touch, the system can decide if you are or if you are not a good candidate. So if we feel that we are losing that human touch, have this in mind. Now, you are getting challenged by the ATSs. So you need a profile that not only delivers your experience, but you need a profile that makes you stand out, that is compelling in terms of keywords, that are well structured, that can deliver the information that I really need to make you a call. Okay. And everything that we will discuss in terms of ATSs, this is applicable to the LinkedIn profile as well. And we will discuss all of the things in a bit. Okay. This leads us to the first very interesting portion of this webinar, and probably we will spend a lot of time here. If you are getting right now, you can scan this QR code to get all the relevant resources that we will be discussing during the webinar here. Okay, so very fast. Building a CV. So we spoke a lot about building a CV. And building a CV, usually we just create a page and we put our experiences, we put some skills, maybe some projects and the education. But what people fail to realize is that we have two types of resume. Each type of resume is dedicated and will help you to deliver value for specific situations. The first type of CV, it's the chronological type. That's probably the most common one. The chronological CV is used not to show your skills or your education, but the chronological CV serves for demonstrating your expertise throughout your career. Meaning that this is used for people with some experience background in software engineering or any other area that is applicable for our audience here. Okay, so chronological CV serves for you to demonstrate your career progression. The focus is in your experience. You will demonstrate that you are an expert in a given area. Okay, the experience here, the component experience, it's the golden topic. That's where recruiters and hiring managers will be looking for in a chronological CV. Okay. And then we have discussions like, oh, but where do I put my education or my skills? Yeah, you should put this in the chronological CV, but at the bottom. We will discuss the structure for each of these, but your education, your skills are really not that much relevant for this kind of CV. Okay. On the other hand, we have a skill-based CV. The skill-based CV probably it's the CV for the majority of the people listening to us today, because you are in the first year, second year of the computer science or any other tech degree that you are studying. Some of you still lack professional experience. And then the question is, oh, but how the hell can I show my impact if I do not have a professional experience? And here is how you will deliver this. You need a skill-based CV, because differently from the chronological, the skill-based CV, as the name already suggests, your skills, your achievements, your education, it's way more important than your experiences. Okay, this is exactly the kind of CV that we need to fill this gap between the professional experience and all the effort, all the desire and the intention to develop a growth mindset that we have. Okay, so here the education, the skills, maybe the project section can be used to replace the gap in experience. And something that I really like on the skill-based CV is that you will focus on transferable skills. So it's not just like Pythons, SQLs, etc., etc. You can make an impact. You can also do this on the chronological CV, but on the skill-based CV, this is even more important. So you focus on transferable skills. Maybe you have a project, for instance. Many of you are community leaders. Like we have the community leaders for GDG or any other, like imagine community volunteering or something like that. You can have transferable skills related to leadership, related to organization, related to communication that will be applicable to the entire skill-based CV, and this will elevate your impact. Okay, so bear in mind.
Universities oftentimes they have quite a few society. So I know people that can maybe be stuck in and lead or help to do activities there. So
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. And this is quite interesting because everything that you do, especially in terms of leadership, I really like to foster an environment in my teams where everyone should be a leader. I don't care if you are a senior, if you are a mid-level engineer, if you are a junior, or if you are a principal engineer. Everyone should be a leader. And by the time that you have the means to highlight that you are already developing this kind of skills, this is awesome. This is really awesome. Okay. So that's our focus for today, skill-based CVs. Okay. But the thing is, you probably noticed that I mentioned that the skill-based CV is used for early stage candidates to fill the gap between education and experience and etc. Which means that if you are focusing on building a skill-based CV today, you can get ready and you can exercise transitioning from a skill-based CV to a chronological CV. And you will notice during our conversation here that the focus is way more how you place some components on the CV and how you write things. But one thing is like, sure, you will transition from a skill-based CV to a chronological CV at some point of your career. A skill-based CV will help you just now for early stage professionals. As you get experience, you need a chronological CV. Otherwise, you will have some troubles here to create attention for yourself. Okay, just a side note on this. But the thing is, skill-based, chronological, experience, overall. So I like to say that At the end of the day, a CV, it's exactly the same thing, but built in different ways. So I like to say that a CV, it's like a puzzle. You have some components and you will play around to assemble this puzzle. So I have here a list of very, very common components in a CV. Some of them are not that much, are very unconventional, I would say. For instance, a summary. A summary, if you want to have a hot discussion, a passionate discussion, it's just about, okay, let's discuss if we should add a summary to our CV or not. Experience, education, projects, skills, certifications and trainings, languages. We have many components. And here we will focus on the main ones. Okay. That said, to build a chronological puzzle, my suggestion for you is to use a summary, followed by the experience, then your education, then your skills, certifications and training, and projects. Meaning that certifications and projects, when you are building a chronological CV, are completely optional. Okay. And here I have one specific, we will discuss this when we deep dive into the components, but you see here that I have ATS friendly on the skills. And this is very, very intentional. This is where you will trick, double quotes, the ATS systems that we have out there. Okay, we will use the skills sections, also known as the core competences for the candidate. That's the section where we will connect everything together and optimize for ATSs. Okay. On the other hand, we have the skill-based summary, the skill-based resume, our new puzzle here. And as you can see, comparing to the chronological one, we have a summary, but because our skills and our achievements are more important at this point, the next component is the skills section, the core competences, followed by projects, followed by certifications and training as optional, education mandatory, and experience optional. Here is debatable. You could pick education and place it below skills as well. Okay. There is you can deliver, depending on the level of projects that you have, you can like position education above projects or below projects. Cool. But we have too much here and we need now to understand what the hell each component of this is built, for why, and actually, how can we use this, right? But before we move forward, I just want to highlight one thing. The order matters. Okay. Remember the 20 seconds. Remember the analogy with checkpoint games. So you want to make a better impression on the summary, get extra seconds, reinforce with your skills. The next checkpoints, we will navigate hiding the tech recruiters to your projects, and so on and so on. Each step of the CV is built on top of the previous one. Okay, that's very important to highlight. If you are, again, coming, now check the QR code, grab your resources there, so you can follow up in some of the topics that we will start deep diving now, as action verbs and many other things. Okay. So let's start with the summary section. The summary section, probably, as I mentioned, it's the most contradictory of every CV component. We have regions, we have cultures, we have philosophies, mindsets that love or really hate the summary section. I play for the team that really love the summary section because, as I mentioned to you, I just need a few seconds to say if a CV is a potential great candidate for a position that I have or not. And the reasoning for that, the way that you can facilitate this kind of evaluation is providing a summary section that can introduce you in a very to the point way to the recruiter. I want to know here at some degree who you are, what are you, what you are good at, what are your desires, what are your passions here, and how you will bring value to the table. One thing that I just need to highlight here. When I mentioned that, oh, the recruiter wants to know you, how what you aim to achieve, what you are good at, please, let's not write here, I'm great at ping pong, like I want to achieve the first place in my beer context or something like that. Just keep a professional language, introduce yourself in a way that you are adding some kind of vulnerability here, but you are also keeping the good pace and the good language. And for some, this might be like, oh, okay, these examples are really like to the edge, but I can assure you they are not. Okay? Like, as a hiring manager, I have seen some very crazy descriptions on this summary. Like I really love the chess tournament, and like, come on, here it's your first impression. This is where you wanna be seen for the first time, and the first impression that you wanna bring to the table is a good one. I want to look to the summary section and say, okay, Raphael, you are the guy that I am looking for. Let me just confirm. Next section. Okay. But this is quite subjective. Okay. This is very, very subjective. And here we will discuss a formula to facilitate the creation of this step. But one thing that we need to bear in mind, as I mentioned here, you need to keep professional but personal, add some touches of vulnerability, but we don't want a biography about you. It's just 2-3 sentences. How can you change the game if you join my team? Additionally to that, this is a great place. This is the first and the great place, a great place to introduce some keywords. Like for software engineering, for instance, we can add here problem solving, agile, some programming languages, teamwork, feedback, you know. So we have a bunch of keywords here. And if you are in doubt about the keywords that you should use in your CV, if you assess the Notion page that I have provided there, you have an exercise called keyword generator. Okay, it's a video that I created. There are a few text instructions as well. Just go there after this call and take a look. It's a 8-minute, 10-minute video just instructing you on how you can generate keywords optimized for a given role for a given type of CV. Okay, and here the intention of the summary section is to cause what we call the halo effect. The halo effect, it's the first impression. It's just consolidating what I am clicking since the beginning of the summary section. Right? It's the first impression. That's the first checkpoint. You want, that's the opportunity that you have to get extra seconds there. But how can you actually create a summary section, and what does a summary section look like? So let's discuss this in a little bit. The formatting for this slide was not the best, but let's do this. So let's create a cake from now on. The first part, you will choose a title or a desired title, like software engineer or a machine learning engineer or software architect, whatever. Okay. First thing is to recognize what is your desired role, your desired title. And then we will connect this somehow with some key skills and strengths. Like we can pick here the problem solving, some communication, and we will connect this with your career goal or what you want to achieve. And if you see this formula, basically, we are delivering exactly the who you are, what you are good at, and what you aim to achieve. How this actually works in practice, for instance, I am an aspired software engineer, skilled in Python, machine learning, and teamwork, eager to apply problem solving skills in a collaborative environment and gain hands on experience in software engineering. If I see a summary like that, I would say, okay, you created a very interesting curiosity gap here in my mind. So let me check a little bit more of your CV. And I put here in italic, sorry, a few sentences. For instance, software engineer, Python, machine learning, teamwork, problem solving, and software engineering at the bottom. As you can imagine, these are very good keywords. This will rank pretty well in ATS systems. And in the way that this summary section was structured, I am delivering what I aim for, what is the title that I am looking for. I am an aspiring software engineer. My skills, I'm skilled in Python, machine learning, and teamwork. What I desire, what I want to achieve here. I want to apply problem-solving skills. That's the kind of environment that I want to work, a collaborative one. No, I also want to gain hands-on. This is the desire. This is the motivation. This is the driver. This is a summary from someone with a high level of growth mindset, with a high level of self-awareness. Okay, so that's why I really love a good summary section, because this is where we create the curiosity gap. This is the first punch that we deliver to the hiring manager and said, okay, dude, keep going, because if this is good, keep going, that I will surprise you. So please start using a summary section, facilitate your life and increase your impact as your first impression. Okay, summary section. The second one that we will discuss here is the project section. I love and I hate the project section. A project session can make or can break. It's like discussing about portfolios. Should I have a portfolio, a GitHub portfolio for my applications and etc.? And the answer is actually, it really depends. And it depends because if you are doing a project just for the sake of doing a project, don't do this. It will backfire. But if you choose building a project in the same way that if you choose building a portfolio, do it intentionally, with passion. Intentionally, I mean creating a production-ready project. I am not saying that you need to create a project that is scalable, that no fancy technologies here, nothing like that. Creating an intentional project is a project that is really trying to solve something, to solve a problem. You have a purpose behind this project. It's not just a Python playground. Okay, so if you choose creating projects and if you choose describing projects in your CV, ensure that your projects are intentional. Because if you create intentional projects, this is great to showcase your progress without a professional experience. You can frame your entire process, frame your entire untraditional experience in a way that this will fill the gap, or it will mitigate at least the gap that you have in terms of professional experience. Okay, and I really like this because it gives you the chance to expose how you are thinking about the problem, like, and mapping how you are working towards fixing this problem. What are the skills that you are developing by creating this project, and especially the commitment. Because if you are creating a production ready project, it means that you are committed to solve something. And commitment and accountability are two very significant traits that the modern software engineer must deliver. Okay. Other than that, we can talk here about proactiveness. It's just filling the gap. You are demonstrating your growth mindset towards, I don't have the professional experience, but I am doing my best to learn this language in a way that I am solving a problem, not just because I want to improve my object-oriented programming skills. No, it's because I have identified the problem and I am working towards developing my technical skills and solving a given problem. A given problem. Consequently, you are also developing your soft skills, which are extremely important for modern positions that we have in software engineering. And as the summary, we have here some blueprints to support you on creating the description for your projects. So you will pick a very nice project title, like expenses management application. What are the project purpose? What is the problem that you are trying to solve here? I want to facilitate managing expenses in a daily basis for university students, maybe. And then below the project purpose, you will describe a few things. And these items that are coming next to the purpose will identify what actually you did, what kind of skill you have developed, the tool that you have used, and this specifically the result that you got. You have mentioned, you probably noticed that I skipped the action verb, and that's because action verbs it's a psychological part of building a CV and a profile. If you go there to that Notion page, I have a list of action verbs that can be used specifically for software engineers, and other list which is more overall usage. Basically, we have a weak verb, a suggestion for an actual action verb, and why you should use this action verb instead of the weak verb. Okay, so that's the recipe: project title, project purpose, followed by a brief discussion, a brief description. Please keep it short, keep it concise, to the point. Action, starting with an action verb, what you did using or developed a skill or tool, and the result that you have delivered. Let's see how this should look like. And I missed a very beautiful effect here. Oh my God. So project title, it's the essence of the project. The purpose is the problem that you are solving. And then the description, the tangible outcomes. But here is the action verbs. If you miss it, go there, pick your list of action verbs and the other resources. So that's how a project description should look like. So in my project section, I have created a data visualization dashboard, which is an interactive dashboard integrating Python and Tableau to visualize real-time sales data to support users' decision-making for investments. And this, by the way, this was extracted from a project from one of my mentees. Okay, so this is a real case. And as part of this project, he learned how to optimize SQL queries. He noticed that he reduced reports generation by implementing the optimization techniques on SQL queries that he learned. And also, he was developing here user-friendly interface using React. He was more focused on the backend side of things, and he gave it a try on building user-friendly interfaces using React. You notice that React is not here because this profile in specific we have created to support and to answer the problem. How should I identify you? How do you want to be looked in your CV? It's a front-end engineer, it's a UX engineer, it's a back-end engineer, machine learning engineer. What is the identity? How you want to be seen when I read your CV? And for this CV in specific, we wanted this person to be seen as a Python engineer. Okay. Therefore, despite adding here the user-friendly interface, you don't see React or any other front-end skills mentioned here because we don't want to create distractions. We just want recruiters to read what we want them to read. 20 seconds. Remember that. So for this specific case, we didn't add any front-end technology here and focused strictly on the back-end side of things. Okay. So this is how a good project definition should look like. A title, the purpose, the problem that you are solving, and a few bullet points with what you did, the action verb, optimize the developed. Developed, by the way, it's a weak verb. Action verb, what you did, tools, skills, and achievement. The result, reduce report generation 30%, allow non-technical users to analyze sales trends. Okay, this is important. And then we have the skills section. The skills section is extremely important, specifically for the kind of CV that we want to build here. Okay, Stefan, do we have any questions on the chat?
I'm checking. No, nothing so far.
Okay.
We are almost 1 hour in, like 52 minutes. So if you folks have any questions, feel free to type it down in the comments, and then I will surface them.
Cool. So let me speed this a little bit up. Skill section. Basically, what we need to have in mind here is this is the chance where we will use and abuse of application tracking systems. This is our opportunity to trick the ATS systems. Okay, but I don't want just to create a list of a bunch of technical skills here for the sake of adding. We will add some structure. We will add some organization because at the end of the day, your CV needs to be readable. Okay, because time is ticking, 20 seconds. So here we will add every technical skill, and here it's allowed to mention specific technologies, specific libraries, specific tools. Here, like sky's the limit here. If and only if what you are putting here, it's essential for your job. Example of the project session, like we are aiming for a Python engineer role. Does it make sense adding React or JavaScript? In this case, for that specific person, it doesn't make sense. Okay. And
meanwhile, sorry, we have a question actually. So I don't know if you can read it on screen. You mentioned ATS earlier. You mentioned ATS earlier from Mohammed. Are there any resources that let us see keywords?
Yes.
How can we trick it?
Yes. So basically, if I understood correctly, you want a resource that facilitates you creating keywords, right? So if you go to the Notion document that I provided, we have there a video where I created a GPT resource that you will introduce like some job descriptions and the role that you want to create keywords. And then basically the GPT will provide you a list of keywords that can be used for both CV and LinkedIn. And these keywords will be scored from 0 to 10, okay, in terms of considering the relevance of the job descriptions that you have provided and the title that you have provided. I won't go too much in details here because we have a 10 minutes video on that Notion document there just for you to create that. Okay, but basically you can use this GPT to create for both CV and LinkedIn your keywords. It will facilitate the creation for you. And then
Brilliant.
imagine like you can use like front end engineer, front end React engineer. You can play around the titles with the GPT, and it will always analyze what you have provided in terms of job description comparing to the role. And then you can mix up all the the relevant keywords for the title. So don't miss that. Go to the Notion page and check out the video and the instruction to create these keywords there. Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So I was mentioning about grouping the skills. This is not optional, and maybe it's a bit of TLC on my case. Like maybe I am a passionate perfectionist. I don't know. Maybe I have issues with organization, but I really suggest you to group skills because there are a few ATSs that can group technical skills, soft skills to facilitate the scoring, specifically those systems that are using AI. So basically, that's the recipe that I like to use. It's a bit extensive. Bear in mind that this will add extra lines in your CV. If you don't like this approach, you can just condense, like you can, for instance, pick Python, pipe, SQL pipe, or find a good separator, easy to read separator between one skill to another. In my CV in specific and with my mentees, I always suggest the technical skills and soft skills subsections. Okay, and on the technical skills, I like to group all the programming languages that I know, all the frameworks and libraries that I have worked with, what are the databases, tools, yeah, debatable. I put it here. Honestly, myself, I don't use those. Okay, I focus only on programming languages, frameworks, and libs, and databases. But if you want to go further, you can add tools as well. And then you have the soft skills. This is the most undervalued part from software engineers, and I don't want you to do this mistake, especially because you are early stage and you are just starting things around. So don't undervalue your soft skills. Soft skills are as important as technical skills nowadays. So we really love rock stars engineers that can navigate through different technologies, different languages, but this is completely pointless if you don't have soft skills, meaning that if you don't know how to work in a team, if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to express your thoughts and etc. So please don't undervalue your soft skills. Okay. How this looks like in a real life, as I mentioned to you, a bit extensive. So you can, instead of adding technical skills, programming language, blah, 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 you can just add in a section like skills, the header of the section, and then come Python, Java, JavaScript, Django, Spring Boot, Node.js, Postgres. Like, find a separator, okay, a good separator that can make it easy to scheme and easy to navigate through the CV. But bear in mind that this part is extremely important to make you stand out on ATSs. So when I am creating a job on an ATSs, on an application tracking system, I select the keywords for a given role. I select what I expect from that job description, that position itself. And here is where you are getting extra points if you play the game in the right rules. Okay. And then we have the experience section, which is pretty similar to the projects section. Okay. I just added a few nuances here. Like when we are describing the experiences, the last job, like the most recent job, comes first. So it's a descending order. Please don't put like the first job in the first place. You want to avoid tech recruiters to waste calories. So facilitate their job. So last job comes first. Oh, I have, this is probably not applicable at this point, but imagine that in a given point in your career, you started as software engineer, progressed to engineering manager, and then finally got promoted to director of engineering. 3 titles, same company. Please use just the last title. But what is going to happen with the experience and etc. You can add, when you are describing the experience, in the last bullet, in the last item describing your experience, you can put like, you started as a software engineer. This will wed, first create a curiosity gap and say, oh man, this dude started as software engineer and got promoted until director. This is nice. This tells a lot about the candidate, you know. But don't focus too much on finding ways to describe multiple roles here and there. It's all about how do you want to be seen when I read your CV. If it's a tech lead, focus on tech lead positions. If it's junior developers, focus on junior developers roles, and etc. And the most boring, annoying, or any other word that we can describe here, when I read a CV with a very fancy experience, probably hiring managers that are present in this call will totally agree with me and resonate with that. There is nothing more frustrating than you think you found the perfect candidate, beautiful CV, beautiful description, and then you jump in a call and the person just doesn't deliver 10% of what is written in the CV.
That's very
So,
disappointing. Yes.
oh my God, I
Yes.
think every hiring manager had this situation, unfortunately. This is super frustrating. Like, so please play play the game, make your claims, create your proofs, like value your impact, but in a way that you can deeply discuss about you wrote in your CV. Like I created microservices. I created applications in microservices architecture. Oh, dude, nice. Can you tell me about this? Not actually. I was just developing one of the systems that was using in a microservice architecture, but I actually didn't deep dive into this. Come on. We want to create the visibility, we want to create the exposure, but aligning with the reality. Avoid exaggeration. And the way that I advise you to do this is when you read your CV, if I pick one of the topics, one of the descriptions in your CV, are you able to deeply discuss about that specific topic? If it's more or less, rephrase it. If yes, I can navigate throughout this topic. Keep it. Make it fancy, make it beautiful, make it punchy. If you can hold yourself and deliver a meaningful conversation, a meaningful and have an insightful conversation on that topic, then you are playing on with the impactful reality, not on the exaggeration. Please avoid exaggeration. This will kill your professional profile. Okay.
We have a couple of questions, actually. Interesting
Yeah.
one. So Han asked, I have a couple of questions. Question number one: should we have a subsections for tech stack in each project that we included in our project section? That was question number one. Question number two: can ATS scan a 2-column layout?
That's a good one. We will talk about the 2-column layout in a bit.
Nice.
Okay, I will hold this one.
Yep.
In terms of the subsection, I like to avoid any technology mentioning in the descriptions itself. I mean, in the items like the action verb, blah blah blah. You know. So the way that I am understanding this question is I will put the descriptions there in the project, and below the project I will add all the stack that I am using. If I understood the question correctly, you don't need to do this because you are making your CV larger. You are making the tech recruiter to burn calories, and you want to avoid that. And the reasoning for that it's because you can use the skill section to highlight exactly the same skills. So imagine that you are adding all the skills, all the tech stack in the experience section or on the product section, and then repeating this information under the skills. So it's too much. It is focusing too much in the same information in multiple places. The disadvantage of doing this is because you are making your CV larger, you are wasting time, you are making tech recruiters to spend more calories to identify relevant information, given that you have a specific section of the resume focused on the tech stack. And specifically for skill-based, it's worth mentioning that usually the skills come after the summary. So it's a punch one. Like the next thing that the recruiter will see in your CV, it's your tech stack experience. So you already stated that you know that a specific tech skill, a specific tool, and etc. You don't need to reinforce in the experience or in the project section once again. Okay. So the way that I like to do this, I use a lot the skill section to add all the tech stack that I am used to do that the tech stack that I am learning with, but I don't repeat these things under experience and projects, for instance, because this will make the description larger, and we don't want to create something big but very little impact. Cool.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the experience, I really like to change a little bit how we describe the experience. Okay, like we will see the formula and how it's applicable on the real life, but I want to introduce you a new concept here. It's the XYZ formula. This is a concept created by Google, and basically it says the following. The target here, the goal is to facilitate the value that you are delivering, the impact that you are delivering for tech recruiters. So it makes easy for tech recruiters to understand and perceive the impact that you are doing. So the X is what you did or achieved. The Y is how you did it. And the Z is the outcome or benefit. You see that the X, Y, and Z was applied on the project section, like intrinsically, right? It's basically the same thing. Action verb, what you did, how you did, and the outcome or benefit. And here we have a cake recipe for that. So you will pick, when you are creating the items from your experience section, you will add your last role, comma, company name, a separator, start year, and end year. What I see a lot is the information is aligned in very different ways here. Like last the role aligned left with the start and end dates aligned right. And then you have that you need to be a chameleon, like with the eyes like that to read the entire information. So align everything on the left and keep everything together. This is a psychology trick. It's easier to skim. It's easier to read. Keep everything together. You don't want tech recruiters to burn calories where they shouldn't be burning calories. Okay, a very tiny detail, but interesting one. And then you have the bullet points describing your experience using the XYZ formula. I recommend up to 4 bullet points, depending on your role. Okay. Given that, let's consider early stage engineers, 2 up to 3 bullet points, it's more than enough. How this works together. And here I missed another fancy effect here. Oh shit. So keep things together. It's here. I'm glad that at least I remembered to talk about this. So how this looks in a real life. This is again a real case scenario from one mentee, front-end developer at AM53 from 2023 to present. Headline: engineered a smart checkout system that integrated multiple payment methods. Okay, that's the X. Ensuring responsive design, heightened security, and performance optimization, the Y, which improved the overall user experience during checkout process, the Z, the outcome. Successfully reduced page load time by 30% by implementing advanced code splitting and lazy loading. Here it's inverted. It's the outcome, the action, and the context. You can play around with this structure, okay? So that's the example. The extracurricular section, it's optional, okay? This is where you can actually use, I forgot the word that Stefan mentioned at the beginning when we were discussing the transferable skills, Stefano.
What are you referring to? Exactly.
For instance, we have members that are leading communities, society.
Yeah, society. There are quite a few societies in university. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So basically, that's the place where you should use the extracurricular section. So if you are leading a community, if you are leading a society, if you have any volunteering job that might add positive points to the game, to the evaluation of your CV, that's where you wanna add. Okay, not strictly to volunteering and etc. For instance, I have an extracurricular section in my CV where I mention my book. So it's everything that you do outside of your traditional work that creates perceived credibility for your profile, that enhances your profile. The downside of this, it's another component that might not deliver that much value and will make your resume longer. So it's a trade-off that you need to evaluate if you want to do this or if you don't want to do this. It depends on the activity, on the item that you want to put here. Maybe you have a very, like, you are leading a society, you are leading a community. This is probably something that I would put in my resume. Okay. And we also have a recipe for this, which is the role, organization name as a headline, responsibility, skill quality, and optional, the outcome. Maybe not always you will have a tangible outcome here. So responsibility, skill quality, it's more than enough as mandatory. How display? Actually, the responsibility, it's a specific task or duty that you are doing. Again, use action verbs. A skill quality demonstrated, it's to focus the skill that you have developed as part of this item, this activity. For instance, in the leading a community, maybe you can highlight here some leadership skills. And the outcome, it's always nice to make tangible results, to bring tangible results to the table. An example in real life, coding club leader, tech society, coordinated weekly coding workshops, fostering teamwork and collaboration among club members. Okay. Then the education section, I think we don't need to spend too much time here. Last education always comes first, keep it simple. I see some interesting formatting out there in terms of education. So please, course, university, estimated graduation year, period. For instance, this is my education, for instance, specialization, university, and year, period. Okay. And now that you have and you know the main components, it's just a matter of deciding how you want to assemble your puzzle. Have in mind the objections that you have written, that you have considered, who you are, what is impressive about you, how do you want to be seen if I read your curriculum? Do you want a chronological one? Do you want a skill-based one? And then it's just a matter of assembling the pieces in the best way as possible. However, the golden question, how many pages should I use? 1 page, 2 pages, 30 pages? It really depends. If you have a significant experience, if you have meaningful stories to bring to the table that will enhance your profile, honestly, the number of pages is your least concern here. It can be 1 page, it can be 2 pages, it can be 3 pages. What I recommend you have 20 seconds. Recognize the limits between exaggeration and impactful reality. What are the objections that I want to answer? How I want to answer those objections? What can I deliver in 20 seconds or less? If you have a CV of 6 pages, maybe 20 seconds is too little for that, and you need to reconsider. Okay? It's not about sounding smart. It's about be clear. Fancy resumes that you can actually use and argument on that, you are wasting your time and you are wasting others' time. Consequently, you are just burning your professional profile. So the first thing is put in a paper everything that you feel it's meaningful for the role that you want to achieve. And then start selecting the information that it's a must have or it's a could have for you. Like, what is the level of impact from your perspective that I can deliver if I keep this or if I remove this? Can I reframe? Maybe I can play around the structures, like for instance, the skills. What happens if I remove those subsections and put all the core competences all together with a simple separator? You can play around that, but please don't waste your life discussing about if it's a 1 pager or a 2 pager or a 30 pager CV. 20 seconds, deliver your best. Deliver your best. Make your claims, make your proof, grounded in reality. And it's gonna happen, it's gonna work. I promise you.
That's a really good point, actually. If we have a little conversation going on in the Academy Mentors WhatsApp group about 1 pager, two pagers. You know, people have different opinions. I don't think that is gonna, define your chances whether I made it 2 pages and that's why I didn't get, pick up. So, at the end of the day, keep it, of course, short, especially if you are more
Yeah.
junior. Don't, send over 5 pages of CV. It doesn't make any sense. But don't get too stressed about is 1 page
Yeah.
or 2 pages.
Yeah. And actually, it's pretty, in my opinion, I mean, maybe this is straightforward for me, but if we are talking about an early stage career professional, does it actually make sense having a CV with more than 2 pages? I
No, no,
mean,
no.
like, if we wait the delivery, unless we are talking about someone with a junior developer experience and something like that, I think we can play a lot with in a good sense. Like, do I have all this experience to create a 3-5 pager CV, or am I just trying to sound smarter?
Yeah, no, I think the main topic of discussion was about either 1 or 2
Okay.
pages. That was the main, thing. So I don't think that
Gotcha.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I think I answered, by the way, with a very philosophic
Yeah. So just
perspective.
another quick one. Should we include our expected grades in the education section if we haven't graduated yet?
The expected grades, you mean the salary?
No, the expected grades. I think grades. I mean
The university?
the university,
No,
especially if they are
no,
expected and not even achieved.
no,
Probably
not
not.
really.
I
I don't
I would
think,
say
from
no.
my perspective,
Yeah, same.
I
I
don't
agree.
think this adds value.
Another one, real quick. What would be your recommendation for people with a non computer science degree, but still a STEM one, looking for a tech job, specifically in terms of portraying the technical skills required for a tech job? Are
Yeah.
online projects and courses enough?
One of the greatest way, for sure, investing on your training and demonstrating that you are willing to embrace the tech area as your profession, it's the way to go. The way that you can fill out the gap, it's creating intentional projects until you create and until you get the professional experience. Okay. The way that I see you scoring a lot of points here, it's exactly the same. If we look to the perspective that just for the course, like we have graduates and or students in any tech course, tech degree, but without any experience. The premise it's pretty similar. Okay. Invest in your training. Imagine that you are doing a boot camp or something like that, a full stack boot camp. You can play around on the education side. Like you can pick this course. Like imagine that it's a more extensive tech course. It's not a graduation, but it's an extensive tech course. You can play around and picking this training, this certification, and placing it as part of the education. You will still enhance the skills component as you were working in tech. Okay, like someone new in tech, put there the skills that you have developed, the tech stack that you have used, and then here what makes the difference for you until you get the professional experience. It's working intentionally on projects with the purpose to develop and to level up the skills that you are investing to transition to the tech side. Like now, if the question goes around like which technology should I choose and etc., then it's way more career clarity discussion rather than the preparation for this. But you can fill the gap, the professional experience gap, by investing in your education plus intentionally working on projects that will mature and will help you to level up everything that you are learning in a more real world driven scenario.
Yeah, that make a lot of sense.
Cool. Uh, any other question, Stefan? Should I move on?
No, yeah, no, it's fine.
So
So far, it's fine.
wrapping up this part of the, I see that we are way behind the schedule. Bad practices. Please, photo, personal data, hobbies. Don't add this to your CV. Okay, photo, unless you are trying to become a model, don't put photo. Personal data, phone number, email, LinkedIn, GitHub, period. Hobbies, it will sound a bit rude, but at this point, if I am reading your CV, I don't care. And probably most of recruiters don't care about your hobbies. This is an interesting topic for a face-to-face conversation where you have the opportunity to establish rapport with your interviewer. For the CV, you are just burning calories. You are not adding anything in terms of value if you display your hobbies. Second part, fancy fonts and layouts. And here the two columns, three columns, colorful layouts, super fancy fonts, scriptina, and blah 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 blah. Facilitate the reading, facilitate the skimming. Actually, this is a very important keyword to use here. People don't read CV. People skim CV. Okay. Our brain are just looking for the information that we think is relevant for that position. And if you use a font that is too small, or the line space it's too thin, and things that really makes the resume difficult to read, difficult to skim, you are losing points here. Layouts, it's not even about ATSs, because ATSs will focus on headings. So if you have a H1, H2, H3, imagine like the levels of heading, you can play around here like with HTML tags. The number of columns in a CV won't impact the ATS parsing, but it will impact the skimming process on the human side, because we need like, okay, I will go left column, then I need to go up to the right column. Avoid this. Make your life easier, make recruiters' life easier. So straight layout, like one column, pretty simple. You don't need fancy layouts, colorful layouts, nothing like that. Pick a simple font like Arial, Verdana, some very Times New Roman, some very simple fonts. I recommend 12 pixels, 14 pixels, something pleasant to read, pleasant and easy to read. Okay. Then graphs. I hate graphs. I really hate graphs. Stars like PHP, 5 stars. Java, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 8, or a progress bar, 75%.
The worst one are JavaScript, 100%. 100%
Oh,
of
yeah.
what?
Oh,
So
yes.
you are telling me that you know 100% of JavaScript.
Yeah.
It doesn't make really any sense. Please
Yeah.
don't do that.
So don't do this. Don't do this. It's fancy. It's nice. It's modern. But first, ATSs won't parse this. Second, if you pass from recruiter, you will fall apart with the hiring manager, because the hiring manager will have technical background and they will ask you about your 100% skill in JavaScript or whatever. So just avoid graphs. Just avoid graphs. Remember, exaggeration versus impactful reality. Graphs plays on the exaggeration part. If you put a graph that it's 30%, 20%, are you delivering value? I think this is backfiring. You're JavaScript. Let's discover the level together in a chat, you know? That's the curiosity gap. How deep do you know JavaScript? Let's see. Let's jump in a call and let's discuss about this. But don't label yourself, your skills with graphs. This will backfire. This will backfire. And then the last one, it's just sounding smart. Like I have enhanced multiple inputs in a form and blah blah blah. I don't know. Like just ask yourself, is this really relevant? How is this adding value to my application here? How am I being perceived and labeled? Labeled, it's a strong word, but let's use it anyway with this description. Don't sound smart. You need to be clear, not smart. Okay? And then you are equipped to create your next CV and get closer to the internship or to the position as a junior developer that you are looking for. So this part of the deck is available on the Notion page. Like you can at any time reach out to us. We are more than glad to discuss about your CV and etc.
Um,
Shall
I've
we
got
move to the
a
next topic? Yeah.
I've got a proposal for you. We
Mhm.
are at the 90 minutes mark, right? So, would you rather carry on with this, or would you rather try to arrange a part two where we cover all the other topics?
You decide. My kids are already sleeping, so I have all the time of the world.
Okay, what are the people saying in the chat? Are you tired? Do you want to have a little bit more time just to ask questions? So maybe option number one, we stop here the presentation and maybe we can take 10-15 minutes of Q&A. Option number two, and then of course we are going to schedule a part two where we are going to go over the LinkedIn and all the other topics, or we can carry on with this. Come on, folks, comment, write in the comment section. Tell us, what do you want us to do? So someone says part two, please. Probably a part two. See, I think people after 90 minutes are a little bit tired, I guess, because fair enough.
Yeah.
It's not easy to. Yeah. We can do that. No problem. Yes. Okay. There is a overwhelming. What's the word? An overwhelming. Vote for in order to have a part two. So we are going to do that. No problem. Yeah, absolutely. So we can stay on 10 minutes or so if you folks have any questions about the topics that we've covered so far. Whilst you think about that, while you were presenting, I just created a quick slide. So I created a form, a Google form. If you folks scan this QR code, this should be linked to the Google form in order to give us feedback about the session. So it's very, very simple. Couple of questions. We really appreciate your feedback in order to get better. So whilst you think about questions, also please scan the QR code. Okay, so any other questions about everything that we said so far? We said, Raphael said, I didn't say much. By the way, another thing that I wanted to add whilst we wait, sometimes I've read some very interesting CVs, right? Like it was almost that person wanted to apply was clearly we are talking about software engineering CV, data engineer, so technical stuff, right? That person wanted to apply to a designer role, so that was really unnecessarily fancy. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
need to read stuff quickly. I mean, of course, spend a little bit of time to, format in a way that they make sense, but don't try to get overboard with things with like fancy backgrounds, fancy font, fancy everything. That really and oftentimes backfire. Another
Yeah.
question, Sylvia. When do we change from a skill CV to a chronological CV? Very good question.
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. I would say get your first junior developer position, like spend a bit of time there. When, I don't know, let's imagine 1 year after your first junior position, I would say that you are equipped to discuss and to bring the experience part to the table as the chronological one. What I would like to highlight here, this is actually a very quite subjective answer. I know that because it's really tricky to measure things about the timing, like if it's a 1 year, 6 months. I would say, are you comfortable working in a software in a junior software engineer position? Like, are you aware about the impact that you are bringing to the table? Like, you are collaborating with others, you are feeling that you are able to work independently, you are increasing and developing a better skill in a given technology or something like that. By the time that you feel that you are confident and you are gathering experience and you can deeply discuss about the things that you are learning as a junior developer, then I would recommend moving to a chronological one. As the very big difference here is like you are bringing the experience to the top of your CV rather than playing around the skills and etc. So it's subjective. I know that. Maybe it won't answer in the best way that you were expecting, but it's way more on how you actually feel playing this new role. You know, are you satisfied with your level of independence, in the way that you are collaborating, in the way that you are developing your new skills in a professional way? Specifically, like when you move from the skill based to the chronological one, what plays a lot here that you might not have on the projects that you are building alongside your journey, your studies or whatever? It's the team dynamics component. It's the collaboration, the cross-functional collaboration. Like if we are talking about modern team setups using agiles and different stakeholders and etc. This you won't have like with this granularity, with this deep, with deepest level of understanding, I would say, playing on the product side. So if you are exploring and you are feeling confident in these terms like team dynamics, developing new skills and etc., then I would recommend passing to the experience, the chronological type.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Another question from Marco. Hi, what about hobbies that are near the skill topic? Example, C++ game development hobby for a person that is applying for a front-end job.
I don't recommend that. You can play with this on the project side. Like if you can frame your hobby like developing C++ games as a project, then it might be interesting. But if you just add like a hobby itself, game development, maybe I am misinterpreting this question. The idea is to add C++ game development as a skill. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know whether Marco meant. So I think he meant to add this, but I'm not sure whether he explained like where in the hobby part, in the side project part, in the.
But even like now I am reading once again, applying for a front end job. I don't think like C++ game development is that much relevant for a front end job, unless you are creating here as part of the C++ game development. You are also finding some way to create some screens and etc. Yeah, it might be. From my perspective, I don't see it adds that much value for a front-end development. Maybe if it was for a back-end, like in terms of data structures and C++ language structure itself, it could fit. Comparing to a front-end job, I don't see much value.
That's a very good point, actually, right? Front-end jobs oftentimes they require a JavaScript framework, 9 out of 10, React, Angular, Vue, you name it.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, counterintuitively, probably a backend kind of job can benefit from read for a DSI point of view.
Unless you are open for a full stack position, this could like sound positively for the interviewers. Like if you can frame this in a way like, oh, I am applying for a front end, but I also have the desire to play around server side, and indeed I exercise the backend structure and the backend language using C++ for game development, so I am used to this type of object-oriented language and etc. You could find a frame, but specifically for a front-end position, without any touch or any consideration with backend, debatable. I personally, I don't see that.
Yep. Okay, folks, a few other minutes if you've got any more questions. I think people are getting a bit tired after 1 hour and 40 minutes of webinar. But I think that was really good value. I mean, to be honest, especially the practical, slides with the real world examples, which I personally really appreciated, because oftentimes during webinars or any piece of content, things are vague, you know what I mean, and which is fine, because there has to be a theory part. But then I think there is a lot of value in watching these things being applied on real world examples. So that I think was very interesting.
Yeah, you will love the LinkedIn part then.
Okay, I'm curious about that. So yeah, now we then we will arrange. We are going to pick a date. I will, as always, folks, I will advertise that on the Discord channel, and I'm going to create an event like this one, streaming also not just on StreamYard, but on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Interesting. Couple of questions just pop by. One, can I ask which do you value more in a ascending order? Quality of our projects, work experience, and education. Rank of our university.
In an ascending order, I would put it really let's put like early stage profession, because this answer will vary depending on the experience. From this list, the lowest in relevance for me is the quality of projects, considering that you have experience, then the education, then the experience. I am assuming that you have here, given that you mentioned work experience, I am assuming you have the work experience. So the last one, less important. It's quality of projects, then education, then experience, which you can just reverse the order for a skill-based, in which I think the quality of the projects, it's actually the education from the three options. Education, oh my God, ascending order. Like my SQL mindset here, it's buggy already. If we are talking about a skill-based, the work experience is the least important here. Quality of our projects, then education for a skill-based.
Yep, that makes sense. We've got a couple of other questions. Not quite fully relevant to the topic today, but I figured it might be worth asking you. So, what is the best way to secure sponsorship for Computer Science Society? I'm a first year and I'm on the committee, and I feel like I could have a better approach to my task.
This is probably something that you can apply throughout all your experience, all your professional journey. Understand what you want to do. Like, are you looking for a sponsorship? For what? For why? What are you? Why? Why actually do you need a sponsorship? What are you going to do if I provide you some society sponsorship? Because people most of times will come with this request without having a proper understanding of what to do with this sponsorship. What are the benefits that we can get with this sponsorship? So it's important when you are approaching someone to request for these sponsorships, be very clear in your request on that's what I am looking for, that's the expectation, and if we ensure this sponsorship, that's how we will play around this and to get the value from this sponsorship, because you are bringing the request, but not only the request. You are bringing the request with the benefit, the purpose on why you need this sponsorship. Okay. This is a discussion for exploring the topic in a deeper way, because we can come with frameworks to establish and create this kind of request and etc. But in a nutshell, just ensure that you understand why you need the sponsorship and what you are going to do with this sponsorship, and then pitch, like create a pitch deck or a pitch paragraph or something like that, just for you to understand how to connect like the request with the result. How are we going to generate the result if I get you the sponsorship?
Yeah, nice one. And I think this might be the last one. Hi, I'm first year of computer science. I'm interested in machine learning. When should I start applying for internships? And secondly, any recommendations for me to excel in the industry? This is a little bit more broad as a question.
So, regarding the first part of the question, you will watch the recording of this first part of the seminar. You will create your CV, establish a time box the creation of your CV. Like in 15 days, I want to have my CV ready based on the conversation that we had in this webinar. If you achieve this goal in a couple of weeks, you will start applying. Okay. The no, the rejection, you will always have. First year, second year, junior, principal, architect, director. So don't waste time. You already have no. Prepare your profile, test your profile, even for you to understand what is happening, what is working, what is not working. Maybe one format is better than the other. Maybe the choice of words here is better than the other that I put there. So just do it. Just do it. The no is already there, man. So just do it. Why not? Why not? Just do it. Okay, so the answer is rewatch the seminar, create your CV, and by the time that you have created your CV, in the next day you will apply. That's the goal. Okay. Any recommendation to excel in the industry? Very unconventional advice that I will give to you. Also, focus a lot on becoming the master of machine learning. Learn all the foundations. Go for it. Learn the most relevant frameworks. Invest on becoming great on machine learning. But if you really want to excel in any tech-related industry, don't forget about your soft skills. Invest on
I
your
was
communication.
about to say the same at the same moment. I was, because I knew that you would say that. And 1000%, folks, hard skill, very important, clearly, right? Soft skills are way more important than you are thinking of now. Soft skills. This is a team job. It's a job that you are going to do in a team. So in minimum, you have to have pretty decent communication skills. You have to deal with people. You have to deal with your line manager. You have to deal with your peer. You have to deal with your stakeholder. You have to deal with your non-technical stakeholder, which is even more difficult. And you can be the best engineer, the most technical person ever, but if you don't develop, if you don't own your soft skills, and soft skills, oftentimes come with, let's say, experience. Let's put it that way. All of us, when we were 20 years old, probably were not the best at communicating, right? So you need to practice. It's a skill. Every skill can be perfected and can be improved. So
Yeah,
don't get fixated only with coding, only with algorithms, only with these things. Own your soft skills.
100%.
Nice. All right. That was the last questions. Once again, folks, please, if you want to give us feedback, we appreciate that. Scan this QR code and just in 1 minute, you can fill the form. That's it. Thank you so much, Raphael. That was absolutely great.
Thank you, man.
Then I will share the slides until the link, the CV part. So the old CV part, I will share that on Discord. People can find the record of this on LinkedIn GDG Academy page and on YouTube Chat GDG channel. And then, yes, we will be communicating when the part 2 is going to take part. Thanks again. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Raphael. And yeah, see you, folks, for part 2
Thank you,
very, very
folks.
soon.
See you.
Cheers.